What's up, you guys? Michael here. I'm going to talk to you about the BRRRR strategy, or in other words, buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. I just got done reading the book on this that David Green wrote. He's one of the main guys and hosts on the Bigger Pockets podcasts and blog forums, and he's written a few books. But I was really curious on how the BRRRR strategy actually worked. I kind of understand the nuts and bolts of it, but I really wanted to get down to kind of the nitty-gritty level and really understand how it works from start to finish and everything in between, because I have not done this strategy before but heard really amazing things. Now, what's really cool about this strategy, it allows you to use the same pool of money over and over and over again without having to do what people are used to in traditional real estate investing, where they work hard, save up enough money for a down payment, and then work really hard again and save up enough money for another down payment, and so on and so forth, which does work over time. You will build wealth slowly and accumulate cash flowing properties. Now, the BRRRR strategy is a little bit different, and I'm going to talk to you about that in just 1 second. But if you guys have not already subscribed, please do subscribe below. I really appreciate those who have subscribed so far. And if you get something out of this video, guys, please smash the like button. I do appreciate it. So before we get into the BRRRR strategy, let's just recap again on what traditional investing strategy kind of looks like for rental properties. You save up enough money for a down payment, let's say $100,000 house. You save up for $20,000 as an investment property loan. Take that loan from the bank, and then you maybe have some work to do on the property, maybe not. You rent it out, and you start cash flowing a few $100s a month on that property once you get a renter in there. And then you kind of rinse and repeat. You save up money again for the next down payment. You do the same thing. And over time, those multiple cash flowing properties, all of a sudden you can reach financial freedom where that cash flow replaces your ordinary earned income at work. So the way the BRRRR strategy works is you actually save up to buy a distressed property cash. Now, there's a couple reasons why this is important. Number one is you can actually buy these properties at a discount because there are less closing costs and less costs associated and holding time for the seller. And if it's not only a distressed property, but maybe it's a distressed seller, where there's a lot of reasons people need to get rid of a house very quickly. More often than not, it could have something to do with in their personal life, like divorce, or maybe it's a family move and their new job starts in a couple of weeks and they need to sell that property so they have enough money to go and put a down payment on a new house in that new location. So there are many reasons that encourage sellers to get rid of a property very quickly. And why it's important for a cash buyer is because you can eliminate a lot of the steps along the way in the loan process and things like that, and you can close much faster than the typical 30-day period. And again, why can you get it at a discount? Not only are you going to close faster and the seller's going to get their money quicker, but you can get it at a discount. Again, there's more than likely going to be less fees for the seller, less agent fees, less holding costs, and things of that nature. So if you can get it at a discount, let's say a $100,000 house that we ordinarily put 20% down, we're going to plan up on saving up for $80,000 and offering $80,000 and get that house at a 20% discount, especially if it's a distressed property. It likely needs a lot of cosmetic work. Maybe it just needs new paint, but sometimes you might need to put in new flooring, rip out carpet, change out the appliances, put in new countertops, things like that. But it's nothing that you can't work with a contractor and contract out all the work for and budget for those expenses. So that's B. So you buy the property. Next, we need to rehab it. Again, if you need to do any cosmetic or major upgrades, we need to budget for that up front. So we're going to go over a specific example in a little bit about how much you can expect in cost, but it varies greatly based on the type of property and what condition it's in. So once you rehab the property, you need to get a renter in there. And once you get a renter in there, it starts cash flowing. Now remember, we don't have a loan from a bank, so we bought this property outright in cash. So you're cash flowing immediately once you get a renter in there, and after about 2 to 3 months, you go to a bank and you say, hey, I want to do a cash out refinance. So this is essentially no different than you taking a loan out up front, but now you basically own the property outright and you're asking the bank to finance the property so where you can take all of that money out up to what typically banks are going to leave is a 75 to 80% LTV, or a loan to value. So you're allowed to pull out 75 to 80% of that equity in the house back out of the deal, leaving in what you would typically put down, which is 20 to 25% for an investment deal. Now, when you refinance it, you're going to be refinancing it based on the after repair value, also known as the ARV. And why this is important is because if you buy a property that's worth $100,000, but you get it at a discount at $80,000, sink in $20,000 worth of work, now you're all in at $100,000, but the after repair value of similar comps in that area of maybe whatever it is, a 2 or 3 bedroom place, they're all going for about $120,000. Now you have a property worth $120,000 that you bought basically for cash, including your cost to rehab it for $100,000. So when you refinance it, you're going to refinance it at the $120,000 rate and get the loan based on that new amount. So that's very, very important when we're talking about the BRRRR method. Now, what's really cool about this is if you structure the deal right up front and know your numbers, you can typically pull all of your money, which would be a home run, or even more than that, and make money on the deal, and you keep an extra 20% equity in the property, and it's cash flowing each month. So that's what's really powerful about the BRRRR method. So once you refinance it, now we take that money and we look to repeat it. So that's the full cycle of the BRRRR method. Now, before a lot of you click out of the window, listen to me on this. You're probably discouraged because, hey, it's way easier for me just to save up for 15 to 20 grand to put a down payment on a house. And you're right, it may take you significantly longer time to save up to buy a property cash. But here's the catch, is the longer term we're looking at in the future, you can use the same money over and over and over again. So once you do your first BRRRR, as soon as you pull that money back out of the property, you can be ready for the next one. And then once you start building up more and more equity and more cash flow, you can do multiple properties at once. So in the traditional way of investing, yes, you might be able to get in that first property sooner, but you're going to sink all of your money into that one property and then have to wait a significant period of time so you have enough money to sink it to the next property. And that may be less than ideal for people. Some people opt for the BRRRR method because instead of saving up for 1 or 2 years, you save up for 3 to 4 years, buy that property cash, and then 3 to 4 months later, once it's rehabbed and rented out, you pull that money out and you buy the next property. And you could do 3 to 4 or 5, maybe even up to 10 a year. Some people have found ways to kind of systematize this to where they could do several properties at once. They have contractors working for them, property managers. And again, that's how you make the same money work for you over and over and over again. And that is really, really powerful. And now what's really cool is later down the road, you can use equity in this property and refinance these properties as they appreciate and the loan gets paid down by your renters, and use that money as additional money to buy more properties or maybe larger multifamily properties, and so on and so forth. So let's get into a specific example. These numbers aren't going to be perfect, but this is pretty much a standard example of how the BRRRR method works. Think of a house that is very distressed. Maybe it's just a 1 or 2 bedroom place, but you know it's a great area to rent, right? So you know there's a lot of renters. You kind of have an understanding of what the rent's going to be in that area, and you see a property that's listed for 80 grand. Now, where most traditional investors are going to be offering, full price or maybe a little bit less than full price because they're going to go seek to get a loan out from the bank, you can go up to hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm going to offer you $60,000 in cash. I know you're offering 80 grand, but because it's a cash offer, I'm going to save you all this money, and we're going to close in maybe 15 days instead of the normal 30 to 45 day period that it's going to take your other buyers to close. If it's a motivated seller, more times than not, you have an opportunity to get this deal at a discount. So let's say you buy it and you agree on the $60,000 cash price. So that's the buy, that's the B portion of the BRRRR method. Now you have to rehab it. So before you even put an offer in on this deal, you spoke with a couple contractors and got an understanding of how much it would cost to rehab it. Maybe it just needs some new cabinets and new countertops, new paint, rip up the carpet, put laminate or vinyl down, and all in, it brings you to about $20,000 in rehab costs. So what have we spent so far? We spent $60,000 to buy the property, $20,000 to rehab it, so that's $80,000 all in. Now, originally the house was listed at 80 grand. But because you did your due diligence and before the deal ever happened, you saw that other properties that were fixed up and renting out for similar, square footage in bedrooms, bathrooms, things like that, are going for $100,000. So you go to the bank and seek a loan based on that $100,000 ARV or after repair value. But before we go to the bank, we have to rent it out because banks are more likely to offer you the loan for an investment property if you have a renter in there with a signed lease agreement. So we go to property management companies and we figure out, what type of rent or how much we're going to charge per month. So let's say you rent for $850 a month. So right then you will start cash flowing on the property, but your cash on cash and total return on investment isn't that great because you sunk $80,000 into the deal. So back to the after repair value of $100,000, we're going to go to the bank and we're going to ask them for a loan, a cash out refinance based on that after repair value. So this is where it's really, really powerful. If they're going to offer you the loan, more than likely an 80% LTV or loan to value, that means you're going to leave 20% equity stake in the property. So if it's $100,000 appraisal, and that's what the after repair value is agreed upon with the bank and the appraiser, you now have $20,000 of equity in the property, and the remainder of it you get paid out, and it's also tax free because it's considered a loan, not income. So you pull $80,000 out of the deal. Remember how much we put in, which was $80,000. So you pull 100% of your money back out of the deal, and you have $20,000, which is created equity that wasn't there before based on the work you did in the after repair value. So you made $20,000 on this deal, got all your money back out, and it's cash flowing, right? So if you rent for $850 a month, let's say that your expenses are around $600 a month. So your cash flow is $250 a month. So now it's time for the last step of the BRRRR method, which is to repeat. So now you have the $80,000 and you have $250 a month cash flowing. And more likely than not, you probably are still working your day job. So now you have more funds to work with, and you use that same money and just rinse and repeat and do a very similar deal. And as you grow and scale, you could do bigger deals, you could do more deals simultaneously and things like that. So here's what's really cool about this. You guys may be thinking, well, $250 really isn't going to be life-changing a month. You're right. For the first property, it may not be super life-changing, but there's a lot more than just the $250 a month that we're getting here. Remember, we created $20,000 in equity up front. We have a renter in there paying down the loan for us. So as the principal is being paid down back to the bank, that's all money that is being deposited into your net worth. And then as the property appreciates over time, which more than likely it's going to over the long term, you're going to capture all that appreciation as well. Now, what's really cool about this deal is I talk a lot about how hard your money is working for you, right? So we talk a lot about cash on cash return, which would be your total monthly, net cash flow or net profit divided by the total money invested up front. And most long-term real estate investors aim for 10 to 12%. Personally, with short-term rentals on Airbnb, I aim for 20+%. But what's really interesting about the BRRRR method is once you pull all your money back out of this deal, like in this example, you have $0 in the deal. So even if you cash flowed $1 a month, it's infinite. Your cash on cash return is infinite, which once you grasp that concept that you have a cash flowing property and you're building equity and capturing appreciation on top of that, and you put nothing but kind of, maybe time into the deal, then that is amazing and beats any other, type of deal that you could do out there. And I go back to this too, again, compared to the traditional real estate investing, is once you do a deal, you're gonna have to wait much longer to save up and do the next deal. To the BRRRR method, as soon as you're done and save up for that first deal, you can rinse and repeat and do it over and over again. And the more you do it, the better you're gonna get at it. So that's the BRRRR method, you guys. Buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and ultimately repeat. And that is an amazing way for a novice investor to grow significant wealth pretty quickly, and certainly longer term, you're going to reap massive rewards in increasing net worth and assets under management, as you could call it, for yourself personally, and growing equity longer term, growing cash flow through multiple cash flowing properties, and ultimately achieve what we all want and seek, which is financial freedom. So I'm going to put a link to this book, which I highly recommend you read. It's a very easy read. And again, don't be intimidated by this method. It sounds crazy at first, but after reading the book, it's broken down step by step. It's really not that scary if you do your numbers and research and all that is accurate. So just jump in head first and do your first deal. The majority of what you're going to learn is going to be along the way. All right, you're going to meet agents, you're going to meet lenders, you're going to meet all sorts of people, property managers, and you want A team players working with you, right? Because the more deals that you do, the more business they're going to bring you, the more business you're bringing them, and you can kind of build a team model moving forward to where you guys can all reap the benefits of working together. So again, the book's below. If you guys have not yet, please do subscribe. I really appreciate it. It means more to me than you know. And if you want to get notified when I post new videos, just hit the little bell button down there as well. Again, if you liked it, smash the like button, and we'll catch you guys next time.